So the other night, before I went to bed, the movie Uncle Buck was on, the movie that stars John Candy. I used to love that movie when I was younger, so I just kind of watched the rest of the movie, and I started thinking, I don't know if I've ever really looked up the complete numbers on his death. And if you're new to what I'm saying when I say his death by the numbers, I'm talking about how it's coded with gematria. And what gematria is, it is a secret code that is used by the Zionists and the Freemasons who control our sports leagues, they control our media, they control pretty much everything in our daily lives, all of the propaganda that is put in front of us every day. And what they do is they take phrases and words and they code it into numbers, especially in regards to the deaths of celebrities. All celebrities die by the numbers. They're either ritually sacrificed or somehow their identity is completely swept away and they move to some island or something. One or the other, or possibly something I just don't understand. And that's another thing in gematria that I truly think that there's some type of crazy matrix that's going on in the world, but it's very obvious that Freemasons and people know how to manipulate it, and they make people die on these certain days to fit the numbers. If you go to the news, they always have headlines that are coded with stuff that connects to what's in the story. The headline might equal 50, and the person who died in the story, their name equals 50, and the cop's name equals 50. I've documented it so many times. There's so many different cases. That's why I think that it's actually people who are manipulating some type of thing that actually is all around us. I mean, just think about the phrase power in numbers, right? There's something magical about the system that is going on, but it does exist. I've proven it too many times for it not to be true. But anyway, I'll leave a link in the description of my how-to gematria video. I also talk about Zachary K. Hubbard's channel. You'll learn a whole lot if you go watch his how-to gematria video. But I want to just talk about the death of John Candy then, and his death actually connects to the death of other fat comedians. I just made a video on Sam Kinison as well, so just interesting. So let's look at John Candy here. John Candy, he dies at the age of 43 on March 4th. March 4th can be written as 3-4 or also 4/3. So he dies at the age of 43 on 4/3. He dies on Halloween, or his birthday was Halloween of 1950. Halloween, the 304th day of the year. In numerology, you don't use the 0, so literally Halloween would be 34 as well, just like the day that he died. Also, just kind of funny to me, his last name is Candy, and he was born on Halloween, which I always think of either ghosts or literally trick-or-treating and candy, right? So John Candy, born on Halloween, and candy. Possibly nothing, just interests me. He also died in the year 94. John Candy in gematria equals 94. He died 4 months, 4 days after his birthday. The word killed equals 44. We see 44 around tons and tons of deaths. It always seems like 44 is a number connected to just many deaths. Sam Kinison also died 124 days after his birthday. He died at the age of 38. Death in gematria equals 38. In regards to the 4-4, John Candy's first movie was called Class of 44. So pretty interesting. His first movie's that, and then he dies 4 months, 4 days after his birthday. He was also supposed to be in these other movies that were connected to the John Belushi and Chris Farley, and they say that these films are cursed. The film is A Confederacy of Dunces, where he was supposed to play Ignatius J. Riley, and then he was supposed to play Atuk in The Incomparable Atuk, and also Atuk in Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle. And look at the gematria of these films or whatever. So A confederacy of dunces equals 187. Think of the murder code, 187. Also, a toque in gematria equals 17. The word kill the small way equals 17. So no wonder all of these people die when they're connected to these movies. This guy, Roscoe Arbuckle, or better known as Fatty Arbuckle, he seems to be a lot connected to John Belushi and Chris Farley. There's a big Chicago connection with these guys. So Fatty Arbuckle in gematria equals 46 and 145. And he even dies at the age of 46. So his name equals 46. He dies at the age of 46. Chicago in gematria equals 46. Chicago, Illinois equals 145, just like Fatty Arbuckle the big way. He also dies in 1933. 33 is the highest degree in Scottish Rite Freemasonry. The word sacrifice also equals 46. Just pointing that out really quick. But in regards to him being connected to Chicago and whatnot, and then the year 33, Chris Farley actually died in Chicago, and he died at the age of 33, and John Belushi was from Chicago, and he died at the age of 33. Farley in gematria equals 31 and 67. Belushi in gematria equals 31 and 76, right? The reflections here, 67, 76. Belushi even supposedly died from a speedball. Speedball equals 31, just like Farley, just like Belushi. Speedball equals 76 the big way, just like Belushi. I don't think Chris Farley died from a speedball. And you know, Chris Farley died in a very similar way. I don't think it was actually called a speedball, but it was cocaine and morphine, I believe. Also interesting in regards to the 67 and 76 of Farley and Belushi, Roscoe Arbuckle equals 67 and 76, right? Fatty Arbuckle's real name, Roscoe Arbuckle. So lots of connections to Chicago and all three of these guys. Some other interesting parallels between John Belushi and Chris Farley. So Chris Farley dies on 12/18 and Belushi dies on 3/5. And if you go, it's a span, I guess, from 12/18 to 3/5, a span of 2 months, 15 days. Chris Farley was born on 2/15. If you write out Saturday Night Live, which both of these guys were pretty famous for, it also equals 215. The day that Belushi died was also the 64th day of the year. Chris Farley was born on the 46th day of the year in the year 64. The word comedian equals 64. Also, Fatty Arbuckle dies 3 months, 5 days after his 46th birthday. So just an interesting little web here. And I noticed there must be something special going on with the number 124 and also 61 in regards to fat comedians. I guess I don't really consider these guys fat. I don't consider Belushi that fat, and I don't really consider Kinison fat. But, you know, the majority of the world considers them as fat comedians. It's probably because I'm a big dude. I'm 6'4", like 315. But I'm not really fat, you know what I mean? I just don't consider these people fat. Maybe overweight a little bit, but not fat, you know? Not Chris Farley fat or John Candy fat. These guys definitely more beer belly fat to me than fat, you know? But moving on, John Belushi was born on January 24th, 1/24. So John Candy dies 124 days after his birthday. Sam Kinison dies 124 days after his birthday. Sam Kinison in gematria even equals 124 the big way, 43 the small way, but also with the S exception, he equals 61. So the 124 and 61 I'm talking about. Kinison also died 1 month, 24 days after Ralphie May's birthday. Ralphie May, another fat comedian that's still alive, that I made a video just the other day saying his numbers seem to be connected to him being possibly killed this year, because he's even 44 years old. Ralphie May, the reason I mentioned that too in regards to Kinison is because Ralphie May's mentor was Sam Kinison. He moved to Houston because of Sam Kinison and a ton of other stuff. But anyway, Kinison dies 1 month, 24 days after Ralphie May's birthday. Candy dies 124 days after his birthday, like Sam Kinison. Belushi born on 1/24. Chris Farley in Gematria equals 124. Also 61 the small way, just like Sam Kinison. John Adam Belushi equals 61 in Gematria, just like Chris Farley, just like Sam Kinison. John Candy's birthday is the day that leaves 61 days in the year. So, I mean, doesn't that seem a little fishy that all of these people are all these famous fat comedians connected to 124 and 61? John Candy even died while filming the movie Wagons East, and he died in Durango, Mexico. The movie Wagons East has Gematria of 124 and 43, just like Sam Kinison. He even dies at the age of 43 on 4-3 or 3-4. One other thing in regards to date numerology, I found it interesting that John Belushi died on 3/5/1982, and if you write out 3 plus 5 plus 19 plus 82, it equals 109, and he died in Los Angeles, that equals 109. John Candy died on 3/4/1994, 3 plus 4 plus 19 plus 94 equals 120, and he dies in Victoria de Durango, Mexico, that equals 120. Sam Kinison and Chris Farley didn't have that connection, but I still thought it was interesting. I thought I'd put it in here. Chris Farley was really close. Like, he died on a date numerology of 146 in Chicago, Illinois, that equals 145. So, who knows, but just wanted to point it out. John Candy's death, another ritual sacrifice, or whatever you want to call it, is death by the numbers. It's also connected to these other fat comedians. But, like I said, showing the coding to it. Eventually, hopefully, we can get enough people to understand this and see it for what it is and put a stop to it. Or, at least use it in a positive way. Because the people right now who are using this system and manipulating it or whatever, they're not using it for the good of humanity or the good of the world or the good of everything. They're using it for themselves. They're using it for propaganda. They're starting wars. They murder people just because these people have to die on a certain day. So, if you think I'm crazy, just watch the video link I leave in the description. And if you don't know how to Gematria, you will learn a whole lot from that video and other videos that I talk about in that video. You will learn absolutely so much about the world. It will change your life. It changed my life. I know so much more. I always knew something was messed up, but Gematria literally puts the icing on the cake. It adds more of the proof. And I'm telling you, all of these people die by the numbers. You can look up anything you want in history. I guarantee you'll find a bunch of patterns, and you'll find a bunch of connections in regards to Gematria and their birthdays and everything else. Especially if you frequent the news, you'll find how they do stories where they recreate history constantly in the media and whatnot, and they do everything by the same numbers typically. So, check it out for yourself. Have a great night.